not the eldest son, head of the family and its fortunes. He was bypassing, Charlie, which son was the oldest? Reuben? Yeah. Go back in my notes here. He bypassed Reuben, and he would have been the elder son and would have received the birthright and so forth. And so Jacob was given almost, I don't know if you call it an insult, but certainly a message to Joseph's brothers that this is my boy, and I like him. And that favoritism brought up the next point, D, his brothers detested him. His brothers detested him. It says in verses 2 and 4, they hated him, and they could not speak peaceably unto him. So we have here the beginning of Joseph and the things that happened in his life that probably God would use eventually to help prepare him for what he had for him. So we want to go now to another little portion. I don't think you probably have this in notes. Just part of the beginning of his growing up and what was happening. Genesis chapter 37 and verse 2 says, Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. Now this turned out to be an important thing, that even though they hated him, and he had been singled out as his dad's favorite, Jacob still had to incorporate all of his sons together. And he was a shepherd. He'd gotten a lot of goats and sheep from his time with his father-in-law. He did it by hook and crook, you know. He knew how to raise animals and was very successful in raising good, strong goats and sheep. And his father-in-law, Jacob, was getting the bad ones. But anyway, Jacob was very talented as a shepherd and very knowledgeable, and he wanted his sons to carry the family business on and learn what it was to be a shepherd, and it was more than just taking the sheep out to eat. It was knowing how to breed them and how to take care of them, and no doubt they had to be taught first aid and a lot of things. How many of you are taking care of animals? Okay. Probably a challenge, isn't it? I don't know, I used to think
Except for 5 dogs.
huh?
Except for 5 dogs. The other animals are so easy to take care of.
Did you learn how to give them medicine and stuff? No? You're not a...
No, I don't know how to take...
Is your dad and mom veterans? Veterinarians, I mean? All right, well, if you're going to raise animals, you're going to have to learn to take care of them. And so people that are in the business of raising flocks of sheep or herds of cattle or goats, whatever, and they have children they want to teach them. That was their way of ensuring the family business. So it was customary for the sons to pursue the occupation of the father. And so the guys were sent out with the sheep, and Joseph was sent out with them to learn the business of sheep raising. And that's why he was says that he was out feeding the flock with his brothers. In verse 37 and verse 2, he was feeding the flock with his brethren. And then it says he was with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah. These half-brothers were sons of slave women. And Joseph was the son of a favorite wife. And so when they got together, a lot of times there was friction. And especially when Joseph showed up with his coat of many colors and they noticed how the dad doted on him and so forth. And so Jacob had no choice but to send Joseph out. But I would imagine he had some moments of wondering how he was getting along, because he knew that his brothers hated him. And then another thing he did, he sent his brothers were gone, he sent Joseph out to them. Israel said in chapter 37, verse 13, Israel said to Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said, here am I. And he said, go, I pray thee, to see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. So Jacob sent Joseph out kind of to spy on his brothers. As you read the chapters in between these, Joseph's half-brothers didn't have a good reputation. I mean, they were ornery guys. They caused trouble in the neighborhood. They were immoral. They were inconsiderate. And they had a bad reputation. And so when Jacob sent Joseph out and said, go check on your brothers to see how they do, he wanted to know about the condition of the sheep, but he also wanted to know about the conduct of his sons. And he said, Joseph, don't just pay attention to the sheep, but check your brothers out and let me know. So I'm wondering if the brothers didn't maybe sense that here comes that guy that Dad likes, and he probably sent him out here to spy on us, and so that put Joseph again in a bad way with his brothers. And of course we have the beautiful coat. And so Jacob has got Joseph lined up. I said, I want you to go find your brothers, let me know how they're doing, and you bring me word again as to the report on them. And so we're going to stop there for tonight. Any questions or comments about Joseph and his lovely brothers? Oh, by the way, if you think of anything while I'm gabbing up here, just, put your finger and share with us, okay? If you get any special insights or thoughts about it, please feel free to share. How many of you feel like you've been in Joseph's shoes? No, don't raise your hand. All right, do you have any questions or comments about Joseph?
I always kind of felt like that Joseph, his brothers kind of had a reason to be jealous of him, the way his dad treated him.
Oh, they did have a reason. I mean, if you look at it from the human standpoint, they would have been well within their rights, and it was probably poor taste on the part of Jacob to have given Joseph that coat of many colors. Like I say, it not only was expensive and said, I like this guy, but I'm putting him ahead of the rest of you. And that didn't sit well at all. That wasn't fair to Joseph, was it? That's an awful burden for a 17-year-old boy to wear. Bear a burden or bear a burden, I guess. All right, any thoughts?
Dreams, and that just made it a whole lot worse. He had the dreams, and that made it a whole lot worse.
We're going to get that next time. He aggravated it himself. I'm just tell you, Jacob might not have been too wise in giving Joseph the coat and giving the message that he was putting him above the rest of them. But we're going to talk next time about how smart Joseph was to share his dreams with his brothers. Maybe there's some things your big brothers don't need to know. How many of you have big brothers besides me? Yeah, you have to wonder about the wisdom of it.
These guys are brothers, but he has two brothers, and you don't. No, you have two. No, he has two older brothers, you only have one.
Yeah, you only got one.
I had one brother.
Yeah. You guys get along? Better not ask that. All right. Any questions or comments? As we go through the life of Joseph, we're going to discover the secret of his success in life, which is found in Genesis chapter 39 and verse 2. And the Lord was with Joseph. And the Lord was with Joseph. And then the Apostle Paul has a statement or a question in Romans chapter 8 and verse 31. What shall we say to these things? And he had just listed a whole lot of things that come against the child of God. And Paul said, if God be for us, who can be against us? So those two things keep in mind as we go through the life of Joseph and all that falls out to him, because there's worse coming. So far it's not been that bad. But God was preparing Joseph for this place of deliverance for the children of Israel. To get Israel down into Egypt to save their life from the famine. And boy, don't you wish sometimes God had different ways of preparing you for something? God puts us through hard places to, steel has to be through the fire to get strong. And so sometimes God has to put us through the fire to strengthen our character. Okay, thank you for your good attention. If you want to read ahead, on chapter 37, gets into the dreams, and then off and on during the rest of the book of Genesis is the story of Joseph.